I want to talk about something today. Quite often, women who I work with are like, Cynthia, he mistreated me in the relationship. He cheated on me. He neglected me. And then when I left, all of a sudden, now he resents me. I want to talk about that because oftentimes women think when I leave the relationship, and you may have thought this too, maybe he'll have some remorse. Maybe he'll think about how he treated me and how he handled me. But the truth is that many men get upset when you leave because the behavior that you were tolerating really was benefiting them. And so they resent you because you've made a decision to choose yourself and no longer allow them to mistreat and to mishandle you. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy. We discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Cynthia. This upcoming Saturday on the 14th or Valentine's Day, some of the girlies have signed up for group coaching and I'm trying to figure out why you haven't, okay? The link is going to be down below in the description, but also the first pinned comment. And listen, you got to be there. You got to be there, okay? Because it is a time. Let me say it like that, all right? So listen, today we're going to unpack why some men resent women for choosing themselves and also how you can heal and move forward, because that's the most important thing. A lot of times women, we receive a whole lot of information about why a man does something, but that's really not important. What's important is how you are going to heal and move forward. So let's talk about why he resents you. When a man resents you for leaving, it's really about the breakup itself. It's about the loss of control as it relates to you. And this is why when you break up or you get a divorce, he may tell people that you're divorcing him, and then you see people that were your friends or family may even turn on you. Why? Because he is attempting in a different way to control the situation. It could be if you had a child together, right? He will stop giving you money, especially if he's not on child support. He'll stop seeing the child. Why? Because it's a loss of control and he is trying to regain control. That is why they engage in these type of socially abusive behaviors. He may post about you, send in subliminals. You may say, Cynthia, he cheated on me. He married the woman, but every time I get on Facebook or whatever, he's always sending these subliminals. This is why, because it's about the loss of control. You making the decision to choose yourself versus the maltreatment sent him into a spiral. I know here quite often, the unhealthy men in the podcast mics talk about the no-fault divorce and how it led to an increase in women divorcing their husbands. And they talk about how, ever since then, women just throw the marriage away because of their happiness. Really what they're saying is when they introduce no-fault divorce and other things, that men lost control and those men are advocating for that control to be returned, right? So listen, you didn't just leave him. You left the version of you that stayed quiet, overgave, over-explained, and accepted less. You left the codependent you. Have you seen the divorce effects on TikTok and how the girlies is glowing up? We're not just glowing up physically, we're glowing up in our habits. We're glowing up in our mindsets. We're glowing up in our beliefs. We're glowing up in what we believe we should receive and love. And that's why that man resents you. I hope you're not listening to this and that man's around, because I don't need him trying to come for me, okay? I'm still dainty, all right? For some men, boundaries feel like betrayal. Your self-respect feels like rejection. Your exit feels like, right, an indictment on their behavior. And let's be for real. In the society that we live in, many men have been conditioned, whether intentionally or unintentionally, that women love more than they love their self-respect. So that's why many men will be in a relationship with you and will not believe that you will leave them. That's why he doesn't believe he has to change. He knows I don't have to change because he watched the Disney movies too. He read the fairy tales too, but the difference is the application of it. See, you watched Cinderella and Snow White, and you're like, oh, my Prince Charming. He watched it and saw everything that Cinderella went through, everything Snow White went through, everything Sleeping Beauty went through in order to be with that man. That's why y'all are having two very different experiences. You're coming with your heart on your sleeve. He's coming with manipulation. This is for an unhealthy man. Do you see what I'm saying? He's coming to play games, right? He's really upset because the play that he was trying to run, Super Bowl today, so they could push my video on YouTube. NFL, Patriots, Seahawks, Falcons, not there. Listen, I'm saying that so they can put my video. Okay, all right. They're going, right? He already has set up the play. Have you ever taken a moment and taking a moment and to sit back and to think like, why did this man go tell the pastor at the church that I filed for divorce? But when I was asking him for us to go to counsel with the pastor, he told me no. He told me he don't want no man in his business. But now all of a sudden he told the pastor at the church. And now I'm going to church and the pastor looking at me disappointed. And the ladies at the church, the first lady and all the other church mothers, they're not even speaking to me. They're telling me I need to fight for my family. How is it that he's told our friends about our breakup and now I done lost friends? How come he's spreading these rumors about me? When we were in the relationship, I was begging and pleading, and he wasn't trying to show up as a partner. Listen. So instead of reflecting, these men externalize. He is not going to take, this is another way of a man not taking accountability for his behavior and how he shows up in the relationship, right? So with the resentment becomes things like, you think you're better than me. You're abandoning me. Nobody will ever want you. Nobody's going to want you after me. You don't know how to, I want you to think about, especially when you made the decision to leave, I want you to think about the things that he said to you. I want you to recall those things because that was his resentment speaking. Even sometimes when a man will say, you're abandoning me or you're just like the others, right? If a man ever tells you you're just like the others, what that means is he showed up this very same way in all his previous relationships. Oftentimes, a man will tell you, we'll ask, so why did your last relationship end or why did you get a divorce? And he gives you a story. Listen, we all will present a representative. It is for you to investigate if that's true or not. And I'm not saying you need to be like Carmen Sandiego, but you need to pay attention to his behaviors. You need to pay attention to how he interacts with his children's mother or his ex-wife, you need to be watching that. That man is telling you, oh, you're leaving me just like the others. No, sugar, you decided to stay the same. Because there are some men that refuse to do their work. And when that man is resentful towards you, he really needs to be looking at himself. Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Okay, and that's what he needs to do, right? That man will even tell you, you changed. You're asking for too much, right? He's putting it off on you versus taking accountability and responsibility for how he's showing up in the relationship or even in the marriage or the previous marriage, okay? You stop, but what they're really saying is you stop accepting what I wasn't willing to change. And that's what happens. A woman is not going to leave a good man. She truly isn't. And I'm not saying that, now let's say this. There are relationships where, not that the person is abusive, right? But there are some relationships where a person can become neglectful or you're just having a difficult time really, working things out. And so people decide to go their separate ways. And I'm not talking about that here. Okay. I'm talking about a man that was not intentional with you, that was not intentional with your heart, a man that took advantage of you, a man who, let's say, for instance, you guys move in together and then once you move in, all of a sudden he loses his job and it's taking him 5 years in order to get a job and you are taking care of him. You're taking care of all of his financial responsibility. And when you decide enough is enough, all of a sudden now you're like all the other women. Now you're abandoning him. Now you don't believe in him or his dream. How is it that you were able to take care of yourself the whole entire time? Then we get together or we get married and now all of a sudden it's a switcheroo. Or a man who decides that has a whole lot of time to spend with his friends and invest in his friends, but he can't take you out on a date. How is it that you have time and money to go out with your friends, but you don't have time to be present with me or our children? So when you decide, you know what, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to allow you to neglect me, then all of a sudden, well, you've changed. It wasn't like that in the beginning. What happened to the sweet girl I was with? Listen, everything needs to be watered. Everything needs to be fertilized. And so does a woman in a relationship. Don't be in a relationship with a man who doesn't want to help. Listen, let me look up the definition for y'all. Let's look up the definition for this word right here, because I was talking to a coaching client about this. And these are the things that we need to be taught. For those of us that go to church, this is what we need to be taught. Okay, give me 1 second to look this up on my. Probably should have looked it up on my computer, right? So the word, so we call, when we get married, we call our man our husband. But I want you to look up the word husbandry. Okay. husbandry. The definition: the care, cultivation, and breeding of crops and animals. Okay. So that's where we get the word husband from. Okay. From husband, right? So even though here it says animals, they understand that even in the Bible where it talks about God kind of being our husband, and it talks about husbandry, right? Because he's supposed to cultivate and care. What he's not supposed to do is be in your life. And I may have to do, for my Heal Squad members in the membership, if you want me to do a more detailed teaching about this, I will do it inside of the Heal Squad. Let me know if you want this, and I'll do it for you, because this is what I think. I think society has it completely wrong as it relates to how often they teach about what it means to be a wife. I think there needs to be more teaching as it relates to how a husband should show up, so that you don't get sucked into these marriages with men that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, that aren't cultivating you, that aren't caring for you, and instead you're the wife, but you're showing up as a husband. And we've seen that generation after generation after generation, where wives are showing up as husbands. They're the one providing, they're the one caring, they're the one cultivating for themselves, the children, and the husband, while some in unhealthy relationships are going out and they're being abusive. Okay. All right. So let's be clear here. A man being angry that you left a harmful situation does not mean you were wrong. One of the Heal Squad members, I think I responded to it yesterday, left a relationship, has a child, and she must be overseas. And she was like, I feel like I have to speak to him even though I feel unsafe, but because of our child. And I want to tell you something. Any man that shows any type of aggression, whether it's subtle or not, you need to get the people involved. Someone please call 911. Can you hear? All right. We're not playing these games. See, there are a lot of men that will get angry, get resentful, and then they want to play games. They want to be intimidated. They want to try to punish you. We're not doing that, okay? He needs to be able to manage his anger in a healthy way. And if he can't, call them people and let them people help him do that. And I know some people be like, you shouldn't call, because listen, he shouldn't behave that way. Don't put it on me. Don't put it on me, right? So a man being angry at you means that the relationship worked for him. I saw on TikTok where this man it was with a woman. They broke up. He went and he went and was with the best friend. And when it was time to exchange the child, the best friend brought the baby in. Let me tell you something. If you are that type of woman under the sound of my voice, stop that. Do not be a weapon formed against another woman. Especially for a man that's resentful. You don't even understand how the whole world sees you. We see you as a tool being used by that man. Some of y'all need to send this to that man, wife and girlfriend, because that's exactly how she acted. Disgusting. Yuck. All right. Right? So again, right? The reason why he's upset, because your suffering was invisible or irrelevant to him. More likely irrelevant. More likely he didn't care. He didn't care. As long as he got what he needed. As long as he got the sex when he wanted, he got the hot plate when he wanted, he got the money when he wanted, he got the emotional labor and physical labor. He had it where, you helped him look good in front of people. As long as he got that, he wasn't concerned about your suffering. He was only concerned about himself and his ego and how it made him look good and feel good. And now he's upset that you've removed that from him. Okay? Your departure disrupted his comfort, not his conscience. Healthy men feel grief when they lose a woman they loved. Unhealed women feel rage when they lose access. That the distinction matters, and you have to pay attention to the difference. And sometimes when you are, and I'm not saying this in a judgmental way, because I've been there. When you're naive, you can't see this clearly. Okay. You think he wants you back because he really wants you. No, he wants access to what you provided to him. It's not about wanting you, sugar. And that's why when you get back with him, he treats you worse than he did the first time. Why? Because I'll punish you for ever leaving me. I'm about to drag you now. Okay? So let's talk about how his resentment shows up. His resentment may look like suddenly cold, dismissive, or cruel behavior. Rewriting the relationship narrative. That's why he go outside and he tells the people, I don't know why she's leaving me. I gave her everything I had. I loved her. I was always there for her. I remember when her mother passed away and I was there. Meanwhile, your mother passed away, you're at the funeral. He got his phone because he listening to the game. Or he telling you why you can't hurry up and get over it. Or you go through postpartum and he's not a healthy partner for you. Have you ever kind of wondered why after you have a child, some men change? The reason why they change is because of the control tactic. They feel like you're vulnerable now that you've had the child, or they feel like you're vulnerable now that you said I do. Or they feel like you're not going to go anywhere. So here it is, I was there when she was postpartum. I was taking her to all her appointments. I was taking care of the baby when she couldn't. He out there lying, trying to get what? Sympathy. Okay? Painting you as the villain, withholding closure. And you don't need closure from that man. Move on. His poor treatment of you was enough closure. We don't need to have another conversation. Okay? And even if he keeps trying to have the conversation with you and then he's not really telling you what he needs to tell you, just say, hey, it's okay. It's good. Right? Smear campaigns or passive aggressive behavior. Acting like you are the abusive one for leaving. This is emotional self-protection, not accountability. It's amazing how all of a sudden, now he wants to interact with your friends and family that he was cold with because he's trying to get his story out first. And manipulative people do this quite often. They want to get their story out first. Whenever I start a new job and somebody always wants to come and tell me the office gossip, I know that's the true problem right there. I just be, oh, okay. But the person who spills first usually is the person that's in the wrong. So let's talk about this hidden trap. This hidden trap that many women suffer from or have experienced is that you internalize his resentment. You allow his words to be true for you when you really need to reject them. You start asking yourself, you start, really feeling guilty. Like, should I leave? Maybe he's going to get better. Maybe I was wrong, right? Was I too harsh? Did I expect too much? Was I asking for too much? Was I not being considerate of him? I want you to know that that's your conditioning. Women have been conditioned to show up and over-sacrifice and over-function in relationships. And the most important thing you can do, like I told you, what video it was? I think it was disrespect you can't come from. The most important thing you can do is not ever allow a man to get access to the resilience that was built in you in your childhood or any other traumatic experience that you needed in order to move past that. We needed that in that situation. What we're not going to do is sign up and experience a toxic, unhealthy relationship for the rest of our lives. That's not what we're going to do. You deserve a healthy, loving, caring relationship with a man that is going to do his work for himself and have his own internal code for how it is he wants to show up. Right? Women are socialized to carry the emotional weight of a man's discomfort, even when it costs them their peace. We're not doing that no more. His resentment is not a message for you to decode. It's a reaction you are allowed to leave behind. So let's talk about how to heal. First, stop seeking his understanding. Closure does not come from being understood by someone who's benefited from misunderstanding you and mistreating you. You want him to understand why you're leaving the relationship. No, go. How many conversations did you have with him about how he treated you? Women often minimize men's poor behavior. Oh, he doesn't understand. Maybe he doesn't get it. He gets it. It's intentional. He's doing it to you on purpose. On purpose. Every time he went out with his boys and came in late, knowing that you had to be to work in the morning. So he comes in late. He's slamming the door. He's doing all that. It was intentional. You asked him not to do that and he still did. That good English? I don't know. But you get what I'm saying, okay? Grieve the version you have hoped for. One thing I tell coach clients all the time, you really have to grieve the future you thought you were going to have with him. And you have to grieve who it was he showed up to initially and who he promised you he was going to be. All of that you have to grieve. You're not just healing from the relationship, you're grieving the fantasy, maladaptive daydreaming, limerence, that one day he would show up differently, and he's not. You gotta let that fantasy die. You gotta be like Jason. Was it Jason? Like, that's how you gotta be to that fantasy, because it's not happening. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to be that person. If he was going to be that person, he would have been that person in the relationship, right? And then you need to re-anchor your reality. You need to write down what you tolerated. You need to become super clear so that in your next relationship, you're out dating, you know, this is what I can't tolerate, okay? You need to be clear on how it affected your nervous system. Did it cause you to shrink? Were you fearful in your relationship, fearful to cause him to be upset because you didn't want his disapproval? Were you slowly dying? Or were you dying fast? Because you wanted the relationship, but you are now to the place of knowing and realizing and understanding you got to have you first. You got to love you first, okay? You need to write down what you asked for that never changed. You may still be in the relationship. So this is an exercise for you to do, right? Also, you have to expect the emotional detox. That's where you're like, and I'm going to do a video about why you shouldn't break no contact, but it's the longing and the craving and the crying and the missing them. And I just want to hear his voice, you know. It's really withdrawal because there was a trauma bond there. There's a trauma bond, okay? Missing him doesn't mean that he wasn't safe. It was your body. It is your body's way of recalibrating, right? And then you have to reclaim self-trust. Don't beat yourself up because you chose an unhealthy partner. Forgive yourself. Engage in self-forgiveness, right? And make a vow that in your next relationship, you won't abandon yourself again. Stop abandoning yourself. Stop engaging in self-abandonment, okay? So let's talk about what moving forward looks like. Moving forward doesn't mean proving him wrong. Well, I'm going to glow up and he going to want me. We're not doing none of that. We're not doing none of that for him. We're not, okay? Okay? It doesn't mean hardening your heart. It doesn't mean rushing into another relationship. It doesn't mean that you're creating barriers where there really should be boundaries, okay? It means being emotionally unavailable to people who require self-abandonment. When you see that man wants you to abandon yourself, you got to exit stage left, okay? Listening to your body sooner. Remember, we are pacing ourselves in these relationships. We're dating selfishly. Choosing peace over potential. We're not dating based off of a person's potential where they say that, he could just, no. We're dating based off of what we see and what we are experiencing, okay? And moving forward actually means, it looks like letting resentment stay on the side of the person who refuses to grow. Don't you become resentful. Don't you become petty. Don't you want to clap back. I know you're angry. I know you get frustrated. I know you know that he's out there lying on you and it makes you feel some type of way. Outlive the lie and heal. This man is having a grown man temper tantrum because he can no longer control you anymore. He can no longer mistreat you. He can no longer abuse you. Thank God. Okay. Well, I want to hear from you below. And if you're still here, make sure you sign up for group coaching every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. My name is Smithia. This is Heal the New Sexy.